The old woman lay on the ground, her hand trembling over the cracked pavement. A grocery bag had spilled, oranges rolling, milk soaking into dust. A little boy stood frozen beside her, his eyes red with shock. Across the street, a man slammed his car door and shouted something cruel before speeding off. Before I tell you what happened next, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Valley, and tell me where you're watching from. The neighborhood was quiet again. Only the sound of the wind and the little boy's voice whispering, "He hit my grandma." She tried to smile through the pain, her voice soft. "It's okay, Noah. Let's just go home." But Noah didn't move. He looked at the man's car fading down the road, a black pickup with dented paint. He memorized the plate number. Something in his small heart burned, not anger, but a need for help, for fairness. Later that evening, the story reached a nearby cafe, a small place where local bikers often gathered after work. They weren't a gang, not the kind people feared. They were old friends, men and women who fixed engines, rode long roads, and stood up quietly for the helpless. A man named Jace, gray beard and gentle eyes, was the first to hear. Noah had walked there alone, dusty shoes and shaking hands, holding a note with the license number written in pencil. He didn't ask for revenge. He only said, "He hurt my grandma. She didn't do anything wrong." The cafe went silent. Jace put down his cup. One of the bikers, a woman named Lynn, crouched beside the boy. "Where does she live, sweetheart?" she asked softly. That night, under dim streetlights, 5 bikes rolled down the quiet lane. Their engines weren't loud, just steady like a heartbeat in the dark. They parked outside a small, paint-chipped house. The old woman, her leg wrapped in bandages, sat by the window. She didn't know what the noise outside meant. Across the street, the man who had hit her, a middle-aged landlord named Carl, stood on his porch with a beer can. When he saw the bikers stop, his smirk faded. Jace walked up the steps slowly. "Evening," he said calmly. "We heard there was a misunderstanding earlier." Carl's voice was harsh. "You people got no business here." He laughed nervously. "Old lady was in the way. She should watch where she's walking." No one replied. The silence between the bikers grew heavy. Lynn stepped forward, her leather gloves still on. "She's someone's grandmother," she said quietly. "And that boy? He's still crying." Carl tried to speak, but his voice broke. Maybe it was the way they didn't shout, didn't threaten, just stood there, a wall of calm strength. Then Jace took a folded photograph from his jacket. "This," he said, "is my mom. Someone hit her once too, back when I was 12. I never forgot the face of the man who walked away." Carl's eyes lowered. The beer can trembled in his hand. "We're not here to fight," Jace continued. "We're here to make sure you understand what you did, and maybe what you can still do right." For a long moment, only the sound of wind moved between them. Then Jace turned his head toward the small house. "She doesn't need an apology shouted through a door. She needs groceries replaced, a porch fixed, a little respect." The bikers left a bag by the old woman's gate, food, medicine, and a note that simply said, "You are not alone." Carl watched from his porch, shame cutting through the night like glass. He looked down the road where Noah had walked earlier, alone, seeking help that grown men should have given without being asked. Hours later, when the engines were gone and the silence returned, Carl crossed the street. He stood at her door for a long time before knocking. The old woman opened it slowly, surprised. He held out a new bag of groceries and whispered, "I'm sorry, ma'am." She didn't answer, only nodded once, the way forgiveness sometimes looks when it's too deep for words. Noah peeked from behind her, eyes wide. For the first time that night, he smiled. Not because justice had been loud, but because kindness had been stronger. The next morning, sunlight fell across the street like a quiet blessing. The old woman's porch was fixed. The groceries were fresh, and outside her house, 2 roses rested on the fence, left by someone who had learned what strength really meant. Because strength isn't in fists or fear or noise. It's in the calm choice to do what's right, even when no one's watching. If this story moved you, like, comment, and share your Kindness Valley thoughts below, and subscribe for more untold stories.